All right, everybody, we are back. So, guys, you got an interesting video here today. So, you got, are humans OP? Question mark. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a very interesting video. So, let's not waste time. Let's hop right in.
Human beings. Are they as overpowered as the game's community would lead you to believe? Short answer, yeah. They're the most meta-defining build of all time, and the undisputed top build in the current expansion. But believe it or not, this wasn't always the case.
Why is he saying
Humans
it like
used
this?
to get bodied left and right on a daily basis by other players.
Crap.
And it took a pretty long time before the player base learned how to actually make use of the human build's unique abilities. The story of the humans' rise to dominance is a really interesting one. And so today, we're going to do an in-depth look at the humans' abilities, their strengths, and their weaknesses.
Why is he saying it in form of like a video game? But anyway, let's maybe I'm missing something. Yeah, he's saying as if it's like you know, when you play a video game, you have to choose your anyway, let's go.
And so today, we're going to do an in-depth look at the humans' abilities, their strengths, and their weaknesses. Because yes, they do have weaknesses. We'll also go over notable matchups, and finally look at the steps human players took in order to reach their dominant status. First, their unique abilities. I touched on this topic in my video about primates, but I'll recap here and also go into more detail. First off the bat, we have their ability to throw things. Other builds can throw things, but humans can do so harder, faster, and further than anyone else. The reason for this is their body structure. Bipedal builds are tough to balance, both in the game development sense and the center of mass sense. Throwing an item with any real force behind it requires serious balance, achieved only by having shorter arms and longer legs. This is why humans can launch projectiles at deadly speeds, whereas other primates kinda just lob things without putting much effort into it. If they tried to, they would knock themselves over.
Wow. Even
Even if chimpanzees could figure out how to craft a spear, there's no way they could throw it hard enough to deal any significant damage. Next, their stamina regeneration. Humans can chase down anything. You try to run from a human, you might outspeed them initially, but you'll run out of stamina much sooner than they will, and they'll catch up to you while you're in your weakened state. This is partially because of their superior balance again, but mostly it's because of the human build's unique choice to not spec into fur. This gives them access to the extremely broken ability Sweat. Every other current build that's decent at distance running recharges stamina by using the move Pant. This works great, but it does require the user to stop running. Sweat, on the other hand, works better while moving, massively extending the distance a human player can run. They've got a few other important abilities that are essential to their kit.
This is a very interesting video. I like the way he's putting everything together. If you're someone who plays like video game or used to play video game, it seems like it's funnier, you know, when looking at it that way. But hey, great. I like this.
The distance a human player can run.
They've
got a few other important abilities that are essential to their kit, but aren't unique to humans. Their ability to speak is unique among mammals, but some birds can pull it off too. In humans, the ability to speak allows them to use one of their signature moves, Teach, which drastically boosts skill point gain, mitigating the main penalty a player receives upon getting a game over. Humans and birds also share another unique trait, which is being able to stand upright. Standing upright is extremely useful for dealing with stealth builds that might normally be using tall grass to hide. Tool use also might be thought of as a human-exclusive move, and it certainly is the most effective at humans, but it turns out a pretty wide array of other builds can also do it. Birds, primates, cephalopods, and even fish can use tools on occasion, but sweating and throwing, uniquely human. Now onto their weaknesses. And yes, it's true that currently most human players can subvert these with their crafting skill. But it's important to recognize that without equipment, the human build isn't necessarily unstoppable. The decision to not have fur granted humans a massive buff to mobility at the cost of stealth. In the mammal faction, fur is a prerequisite to all the major stealth abilities like camouflage, and lack of stealth abilities means getting in close on their targets is a serious challenge. The human build's lack of fur also means they have very low defense, both from physical attacks and from environmental effects. Bare skin offers almost zero armor, to the point where even players from lower weight classes have no trouble dealing damage to humans.
Guys, this is a very informative video when you look past the way he's saying like builds and, you know, skills. Like it's all put in place like, you know, some kind of video game. But this is very informative, actually. You know, very well put together video. Kudos to this guy. Kudos. Not sure what else he's got, but kudos.
Skin offers almost zero armor, to the point where even players from lower weight classes have no trouble dealing damage to humans. And bare skin also takes quite a bit of damage from the sun, too. Humans are also pretty limited when it comes to the power stat. Physically, they're the weakest of the great apes, and don't really have any good options for dealing damage. They
Oh.
lack the classic high damage bite attack that nearly every other non-herbivorous build relies on, instead having to resort to blunt attacks like punch and kick,
Oh
which we all know
my.
aren't very effective against builds that have thick fur or skin. The last major weakness I can see is that they're pretty bad at dealing with stealth. The lack of night vision means darkness can really hamper their ability to locate targets,
True.
and their lack of a strong sense of smell means camouflage is especially useful against them. Okay, now let's talk about matchups. Obviously, a key feature of the human build is being able to craft equipment. Given basic equipment like low-level armor.
Okay, he added a lot of I'm not sure how, battle this will be. He's adding video game music. That for those who do know, that's Super Smash Brothers, if I remember carefully. Yeah, and this is the way he started this. This is very funny. Matchups. Hey, no, it's a very good video. Hopefully, we don't have problem to put this out. Let's go.
Let's talk about matchups. Obviously, a key feature of the human build is being able to craft equipment. Given basic equipment like low-level armor and hunting gear, the human's best matchup is going to be medium-large mammals. Unlike blunt damage, piercing damage is quite effective versus builds with thick hide, but on defense they're actually pretty awful. A human's only option on defense against a large mammal is intimidation, unless they've got some crazy high-level equipment, but I'll make a video on power creep later.
Wow,
The
yeah.
classic human equipment cannot stop a charging tank main unless the intimidate attempt works. But overall, this matchup is one of the reasons humans became top tier. Hardly any builds have favorable matchups against tanks. But that's not to say humans don't have their counters though. As I said before, stealth can be really effective against them due to their lack of a keen sense of smell and night vision. Humans have the ability to win pretty much any fight as long as they've got time to prepare. But taken
True.
by surprise, humans have a lot fewer options.
Yeah.
Another thing humans have trouble dealing with is flight. Even when a human has a ranged weapon, players with high aerial mobility are pretty safe during flight. Now, as far as I know, there aren't any bird builds powerful enough to one-shot humans, which is important because blunt attacks like punches are actually quite effective against birds. Birds have hollow bones that are resistant to tension and
goodness.
torsion, but not compression. This is the opposite of mammal bones, which are resistant to compression and tension, but not torsion. The point is, birds aren't the best choice against humans, but flight has been unlocked by 4
I feel like we humans we're pretty good, but as he said, we need time to prepare. We need weapons and stuff like to stop the others, and I still believe humans are very OP, but again we just have to do things another way, But hey, this again, ladies and gentlemen, sorry to say this, but this is a very well put together video. I'm not sure how long it took him, but wow, there's a lot of information into this. Very well done.
resistant to compression and tension, but not torsion. The point is, birds aren't the best choice against humans, but flight has been unlocked by 4 different classes in the game. Birds, which we just discussed aren't a good choice. Bats, which do even less damage than birds. Reptiles, which unfortunately had their aerial builds banned in patch 1.3.1. And insects. Flying
Okay.
eusocial insects have by far the best matchup versus humans in the entire game. Humans have 0 counterplay against a swarm of stinging insects. I mean, sure, there are special items that they can use to combat swarms if they're prepared, but the amount of human mains who've chosen that as one of their prestige abilities is pretty small. Humans' lack of fur means they have no innate defense against stings. Stings also have the chance to proc the Amphylaxis debuff, which can actually lead to a game over.
Debuff
And it's for this
patch.
reason that the high score for human eliminations belongs to the Africanized honeybee, known better by its community-given name, the killer bee. And even if the stings don't proc the allergic reaction effect, they will still definitely achieve their primary goal of dropping their resolve to 0 and granting you control over the territory. And we can see that lately the viability of killer bees has only been growing now that they've expanded their territory outside of Africa. Which brings me to my main point. Are humans overpowered? Well, just like the Africanized honeybee, humans really only became OP once they escaped the African server and invaded other areas. Notice how humans took down megafauna across every terrestrial server except Africa. The African tank mains have the matchup experience and counterplay options to deal with the vast array of skills humans have access to.
Tank mains.
But the rest of the community was totally unprepared to deal with the rapid invasion of new human mains invading their competitive scene. In other words,
Wow.
the devs could have prevented the massive destabilization of the current meta if they'd region-locked humans. Staying competitive in the meta requires a good player constantly be leveling
Oh
up their
my
skills.
goodness.
There's no better example of this than the rapid rise to dominance that humans experience.
I have to say, this has to be one of the most interesting videos I've seen in a while. The way the guy put it, everything in terms of like video game like builds, and he even went out to say patches, which I'm not sure how many people did this would be like attractive to, but I gotta say kudos to everybody that was a part of it. This is a very well put together video. He's right, and everything he said, he's right. But I love the humor out of this here the most, and putting clips of I've seen like years ago. Of course, this shows it was there since 2018. So these clips they show were very old clips. But my, I have to say, this is a very well put together video. Very informative. Again, the humor is spot on and up high. I love it. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think about this one here. Do you think humans are OP? I think we are OP. We're smart. Are we smart? I feel like these days we're making a lot of stupid decisions everywhere around the world, but it could just be me, I'm just saying. But we're still smart, Are we OP? Again, great video. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think about this in the comment section. Please like, comment, subscribe if you can, and I'll see you guys later. Everyone, take care.